but didn't.
I'm just excited.
Yeah. No other explanation. Now, I do believe, tell me the truth. Is it true that your dad has a ringside seat, but didn't get you guys ringside seats?
That is true, but it's because of his YouTube channel, okay? It's his YouTube, okay?
Her dad's an influencer. Let him go, guys. But your dad's awesome, right?
Yeah.
See, he's awesome! Yeah! Give it up for Claire. Thank you so much, Claire. High five. Yeah!
Hey guys, check this out. I am officially now sponsored by Dubby. Dubby is a clean energy drink made to give you focus with no crash. If you guys are like me, you're always needing a burst of energy, especially with one with no crash. Dubby contains vitamins, amino acids, a nootropic, and 150 milligrams of caffeine. It keeps me awake with no jitters, guys. Check it out. Merch link is in the bio. Dubby.
Mi gente, you already know who it is. It's the radioactive Papa Gang Limelight, United Wrestling Network World Heavyweight Champion. And make sure you tune into the Alliance blog every week. You heard it here first. Straight from Poppy.
Oh, hey guys. Without any further ado, welcome to the pre-party, a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com. That's your number one source for news and information for the National Wrestling Alliance. My name is Jay Cal, and each and every Tuesday we come to you, that hashtag NWA fan, to talk all things NWA. And we're here broadcasting live on TikTok, as well as we're on YouTube. We're on Twitch.tv. We're on Kick. And we're going to have a great time with you guys. So thanks for tuning in. I see a lot of my pals, my friends are already in the chat. So I want to say what's up to Jam and Music Man. I see Mike is here. Willie Bowen is here. Sorry, there are no showgirls today, fellas. I see Mandy's in the house. What's up, Mandy? Sam Retro's here. Steve G is here. I think I got everybody. And hopefully more of you come. More folks will come on here in just a minute. We are marching towards the 75th anniversary show, guys. Sorry, got caught up there. And Doty's here. What's up, Doty? Mike's here. We are heading towards the 75th anniversary show. Your boy Jay Cal is excited, man. I've been on TikTok for the last hour. And just talking about the things that are coming up for us over here at the Alliance Guys podcast. Have you guys noticed we've changed things up on the audio podcast? For those of you guys who are listening, we've been putting out a live stream every day since like Thursday. And even before that, we only missed one day, like last week. We've had new content, smaller portions every day. So I hope you guys have checked that out. Again, you could subscribe to the Alliance blog podcast on all podcasting platforms. We're on Spotify, we're on iTunes, we're on Amazon. I think it's under what is it? What is the Amazon? Whatever, it doesn't matter. If you search the Alliance blog podcast, you can find us. Yeah, sorry guys, no strippers, no showgirls. I don't have money for that. But yeah, we're getting ready to go to the 75th, and we're gonna do the TV tapings afterwards. I didn't talk to anybody about that. Who else is gonna be at the 75th anniversary show, and who's gonna do the TV tapings? I know our pal Tim will only be at the pay-per-view. Dave Scooby, you're gonna go to the TV tapings afterwards in Nashville? Look, guys, I mean, we've got shirts printed up. We've got we've got some business cards getting printed up. We got the hats coming. We've got some things we're giving away while we're there in St. Louis. If you're not going, I mean, I get it. You can order it on pay-per-view from Fight. You know, do the 2-day pass, whatever. Heebs, what's up, Heebs? But I really think you should go. And if you're at all able to make it out to St. Louis for the pay-per-view, you should, because it's going to be a good time. Jammin' Music Man says, I watched the live stream today on the NWA's channel. Tim Storm was on there and he had some audio problems. You know, as someone who does a weekly podcast, I got to tell you, man, it's very, very easy to have issues with audio. I have them all the time. The microphone that I'm using is a J Labs. I don't know the specific model number, but if you message me, I can get that to you. Take care, Sasha. I'm also broadcasting on TikTok as well. So I'm seeing some of those comments pop up as well. If you guys see me look down, I'm talking to those folks as well as you guys. But we have a very interesting episode of Power. We'll get into that. You know, I do talk about. I was talking about the Alliance Guys podcast. And we started doing things a little bit differently. We're distributing more content with shorter bursts instead of having like the 2.5 hour podcast we've been doing. We're breaking it down to about 35 to 40 minutes, like almost daily. In fact, I gotta record something daily. But one of the cool things is on Friday, and I actually talked about this yesterday. On Friday, I was able to go to a Women of Wrestling show here in Los Angeles down at the Belasco Theater. And I'm telling you, man, if you have an opportunity to check it out and you are a fan of women's wrestling, I highly recommend doing it at least once. You know, if you follow any of the talent from Women of Wrestling on their social medias, they will have links to get tickets either at a reduced cost or even free. That's the option I went, and it was cool. I got to see some favorites like Reina Del Rey and their version of excuse me, their version of my brain is not working right now. Their version of the Wrecking Ball, which is actually Heidi Howitzer that you guys know on the internet, on the indie scene. Heidi Howitzer actually teams with Max the Impaler in Japan. So it's kind of, I like when I watch her, I'm like, that's Max's tag team partner in Stardom. It would be so cool if we could see Max and Heidi team in the NWA. It's not going to happen though. It's not going to happen because, you know, the contracts between the two companies just isn't going to happen. Willie says he's proud of those Tonga twins. I don't know. I'll be honest, Willie, I haven't followed the product super closely, but I will tell you that there's some golden things that happened to the Tonga twins. And, you know, what's interesting to me is the amount of former NWA Women's World Champions that have gone through WOW. Like, and I said this on the podcast yesterday. If you didn't listen, you missed it. But if you did listen, then this is something you've already heard. But, you know, Thunder Rosa was the only wrestler who held the women's championship after leaving WOW. But there is several women's wrestlers who went to WOW after being NWA Women's World Champion, like Malia Haska. I think I'm saying that right. She was an NWA Women's World Champion back in the late 90s, mid 90s. And she's kind of now more like more of a manager role than an actual wrestler, but she was an NWA Women's World Champion. Amber O'Neal, Santana Garrett, Barbie Hayden, all three of those ladies, left the NWA and became Women's World Champion in WOW. Excuse me, they didn't become Women's World Champion. They just are in WOW. Excuse me. Steve G says he likes Gen Z. She's got it all. You see, Gen Z reminded me a lot of like Roxy. I don't remember her name in the WWE, but she was the Ring of Honor Women's Champion when Ring of Honor went on hiatus. And we've also seen she came from Booker T's Reality of Wrestling. She reminded me a lot of her. Thank you, Willie. Malia Hosaka. Am I saying that right? You got me, Willie. You knew who I was talking about. Like I said, I'm not super familiar with her or Gen Z, but it was cool to see some of the wrestlers there. Some of the women I think would translate very easily into the NWA if there was ever some sort of crossover. That I don't think it'll happen, but if it ever did, like Wrecking Ball, Steve G, Roxy Perez. You got to spell it out for me, Mike. Malia Osaka. Thank you, Mike. Can you be my producer on the show and hand me notes during the show so I don't sound like a moron when I'm doing it? I'd appreciate that. What if Fury from the Heavy Metal Sisters shows up on NWA Power? You know, they weren't at the TV tapings, so I'm not super familiar with Fury. But I mean, look, the thing about it is once they're out of contract, I think they're free to go anywhere they want. And I know that a lot of the talents, after doing some research, spent some time in Ohio Valley before they came to Women of Wrestling. And I mean, like the fabulous Free Babes, Hollywood J, was actually a member of the roster from Women of Wrestling. She teams with Big Rig Betty. She wrestles as Holly Swag, the Mother Truckers. It's a great tag team name, by the way. The Mother Truckers. I think Holly Swag would be perfect in the NWA. She kind of reminds me of like a Kenzie Page, Kylie Page, Kenzie Page, Kylie Page, right in that same vein, very like a Spitfire, like a, you know, we didn't really get to see a lot of Hollywood J when she showed up with the Free Babes. I'm not going to read that, Mike. I'm not going to read that, Mike. You get me, man. We're trying to stay monetized, Mike. What are you doing to me, bro? Does the camera look weird now? Weird. I see myself on TV. So yeah, I mean, if you're interested in what I thought with some fantasy booking, go to the Alliance blog on Spotify or on really any of your podcasting platforms. Give it a listen because I felt like I did a pretty good job of coming up with a women's pay-per-view between the two promotions that everyone leaves looking good. You know, one person, did you see Princess Aussie? I did see Princess Aussie. Willie, you want some insider dirt here on Princess Aussie? It's nothing bad. Princess Aussie is actually the girlfriend of Watts. And I got to see Watts. Big nasty Eric Watts. Got to see him for the first time. Ryan Blackwings for the Life Steinbeck asked me who are some of my favorite women wrestlers. I'll say first and foremost, my favorite women's wrestler is Reina Del Rey in the Women of Wrestling, but I call her Ruby Reyes. That's where I learned of her. Ruby Reyes is probably my favorite women's wrestler. I'm also a big Camille fan in the NWA. She is obviously a great competitor. She's the women's world champion. Man, what a great question, Jamin. I'm going to get to your question in just a minute. Let me finish up my thought on women's wrestling, and then I'll talk about Cahagas. It's funny because I just posted a Cahagas video on TikTok today. So Reina Del Rey is probably my favorite women's wrestler. I'm a huge Camille fan. Natalia Markova has from the NWA is really good. If we're talking about outside of the NWA or the United Wrestling Network, on the indies, I'm a big fan of Heather Monroe. If you're talking about like some of the bigger companies, of course, I think that Thunder Rosa is probably the best women's wrestler out there. When she's healthy, she is awesome. In Impact, of course, Deonna Purrazzo. You can't forget about Deonna Purrazzo. If you're thinking about the WWE, I mean, gosh, there's a couple of good ones in the WWE. I very much like, and I'm drawing a blank on her name right now, Asuka. Thank you, Asuka. I really like Asuka a lot. I think she could be a much bigger deal. I wish the WWE would put something bigger behind her to get her going. Steve, I believe they're going to be filming some more WoW matches. I want to say like next weekend, August. I think it was the 17th, 18th, and 19th. I think. You should go to their website and double check, but I think they're filming some more. It's at the Belasco Theater in Los Angeles. They tape in the evenings, which is good if you're working during the day. If you're working at night, that sucks. But yeah, check it out. And if you didn't listen to the podcast, check that out. It's the Lions blog on all your favorite podcasting sites. Jammy Music Man says, what are your thoughts on Cahagas as NWA World's Champion? Well, Let me get a drink of water here because I'm feeling very dehydrated. Cahagas was a great choice for World's Heavyweight Champion. However, your boy Jay feels guilty. Your boy Jay feels bad. And this is something that's going to be with me for the rest of my life. Because Cahagas was in the discussion to become NWA World's Heavyweight Champion the same time that somebody who I really respected and really liked was also in consideration for that opportunity, and that would be Damian Wayne. Back then, we used to call him the Mr. Mid-Atlantic or the Mid-Atlantic Badass. Now, you got to remember that the NWA was in flux at this time. A new ownership had just taken over. The guys that were booked, initially Colt Cabana was supposed to be the champion walking out of the Best of 7 series. And for whatever reason, the new ownership did not want to work with Colt Cabana at all. Now, one of the guys who was considered to be the next in line for that title was Damian Wayne. Damian Wayne had a series of matches against Scrap Iron Adam Pearce, had really been putting in the work all up and down the Mid-Atlantic. And I'm talking from New Jersey down to Georgia. And he was working in Tennessee. He was showing up in matches in Texas. And he was really putting in the work. And everyone saw that he was putting in the work, and everyone knew he was putting in the work, and everyone just kind of started talking about how Damian Wayne made the most sense to be the next World's Heavyweight Champion. If you look at that, the scheduled lineup, it was like supposed to be a 7-man series or an 8-man series. It was a huge multi-man match, and I know normally that's not the best way to crown a new world champion anyways, but they were trying to get the title going. 9-man elimination. You've seen the match. Okay, so you know what we're talking about then. Obviously, Cahagas wasn't on that list. I think it was Chance Profits, of course, Damian Wayne. I think, the guy from AEW was in there. Tony Nese, I think. I think Jason Kincaid was on there. There was a lot of good talent in that matchup, but it came down to at the last minute they did a swerve, and they did that swerve because really the Alliance blog, and I'm not saying this because I'm trying to take ownership of it. I'm kind of embarrassed. They were trying to swerve us, and it was literally I just heard it on another podcast recently. It was the podcast that Jeremiah Plunkett was talking about defeating Satoshi Kojima, or wrestling Satoshi Kojima for the 10 pounds of gold. They brought us up, and they said it was literally the smart marks over at the Alliance blog is the reason why that title match changed, and it didn't go to Damian Wayne. And it's a miscarriage of justice. It's a travesty. If you wanted to swerve us, you could have swerved us and put the belt on Cahagas and then had Wayne win it at some point down the road. They never did that, and I still feel guilty about that today, because the ownership before Billy Corgan thought it would be a money-making idea to swerve the fans and put the belt on Cahagas. Now, Cahagas deserved better than that. Cahagas was a multi-time national champion for the NWA. He actually held the Triple Crown. And technically, at one point, he wrestled Kevin Douglas, where it was a title for title match. And at the end of the match, Kevin Douglas had the national title, and Tokyo Monster Cahagas had the junior heavyweight title. It was a travesty. Mike just said it, and I'll put it up on the screen. I remember that was effed up for them to do that, and it was kind of a slap in the face of Wayne. It was, because Wayne was very much a company man. He towed the company line for so long, for so many different NWA promoters, and he worked hard. He's been on this podcast, we talked about it, and he made it sound like it wasn't a big deal to him, but I gotta feel like that burned. It had to hurt. And it kind of diminished the ability to do things with Cahagas. Oh, wow. You guys are asking me about Tyrus. We'll get to Tyrus in just a minute, okay? So looking at that, knowing what happened with Damian Wayne, it's hard to look at kind of look at Cahagas separately. Now, Cahagas, I think, is a great talent, but I think also the focus of the NWA shifted very rapidly because it went from, hey, we have this promotion, we're gonna try to build up these independents, these territories, and we're gonna do it under the banner of Tokyo Monster Cahagas, until New Japan comes knocking and they say, hey, we want an American wrestler to come to Japan and defend the 10 pounds of gold. And Tokyo Monster Cahagas was using a gimmick that was, it was kind of like a, Tokyo Monster. It's implied that he's Japanese. Cahagas isn't full-blood Japanese, and it might have been a harder sell for New Japan Pro Wrestling. I don't know exactly what came of that, and I'm only speculating, but I think they wanted Rob Conway because he had a WWE background. The Con Man. You could see him on SmackDown and on Raw. He was part of La Resistance. He was the Legend Killer. But he came back to the NWA to be world champion to go to New Japan Pro Wrestling. So they didn't really give Cahagas a lot of time to breathe. Now, he did take the title to the Dominican Republic and had a title defense there. So, like, in my mind, I always think, who was the last person to defend the title where? He's the last NWA world champion to defend the Dominican Republic. I think that's pretty cool. Obviously, the NWA office still liked him because after he lost the world title to Rob Conway, he was still booked regularly. He still had opportunities in the NWA. I felt like, again, Wayne should have had that chance to run with the belt, but I also feel like you should have figured out a way to get Cahagas a better run with the title and then do Conway, or have those guys on the back burner for when Conway came back. Of course, eventually, it went from Cahagas to Conway to Kojima to Conway to Tenzin to Jack Stane. And now you can see that there was never an opportunity for Damian Wayne to get that shot at the title. Would I ever have Cahagas on the show? Absolutely. He's been on the podcast in the past. In fact, he called us live on our old call-in show that we used to run on Saturdays. He called in the morning after he won the title. I will look for that footage and maybe I'll bring that out because it was a good interview. He had just won the title, and of course he was jacked. Cahagas came on the show quite a bit. He was managed on and off by what was his name? Garrett, Santana Garrett's dad, and I can't think of his name right now. I feel really bad because he was a great guy too. He'd come on the podcast all the time. Brought Santana Garrett on the podcast. Kenny Garrett. He was managed by Kenny Garrett in the Midwest. So anytime he came on, Kenny was usually with him, and Kenny could talk for hours. Great guy. He's missed. Rest in peace, Kenny. Yeah, Kenny G. So that's my take on Cahagas. Willie said, will there ever be a NWA USA? I think the plan is that it will come back. I think the idea is that they only had so many resources leading up to the 75th. And, I don't know what the plan is. They still keep talking about getting to jeez. Sorry, somebody on TikTok just said, you look like you would dock a boat where it doesn't belong and then not move it. That's messed up, man. Number one, I don't have a boat. Number two, I'm very compliant when it comes to nautical safety. I will move my boat if I need to. Jesus. I wouldn't try that in a small town. I don't even like that song either. I like Jason Aldean. See what you did? You derailed the whole show. Just some guy. Jesus. Will there ever be an NWA USA? Yeah, I think a lot of the resources have been trying to get to the 75th anniversary show. Of course, they're going to be filming some of the shows on the 17th, 18th, 20th, and 22nd. Oh, excuse me, 17, 19, 20, and 22nd as part of the World is a Vampire tour. I don't know if that's going to make it to USA or if that's going to be on Power. There's still the Boca Raton shows that they filmed. There's still the Hope for Cooper And all this, I think, will play out before we get to the 75th anniversary show. But I think at some point, the plan will be to bring back those USA tapings, unless they get a TV deal somewhere else. And then the question about Tyrus, Steve said, who is Tyrus scheduled to face at 75? Tyrus is actually scheduled to face EC3 at the 75th anniversary show. Now, we talked a little bit about this a couple of days ago, but yeah, this was the match that I felt like they were building to before the Crockett Cup, before 312. It's going to be a bull rope match because that's what Tyrus requested. EC3 obviously is kind of like the great hope all of a sudden for those of us who aren't big with Tyrus or want Tyrus on the in the world title picture for the NWA. So if Tyrus wins, a lot of us will be crying in our beer in St. Louis. But yeah, that's the match there. What do I think of Tyrus as a world's heavyweight champion? That was the question that was posed to me on the Twitch chat, and I got to be honest. I'm not a fan of Tyrus as a wrestler. It has nothing to do with politics. I know a lot of people say politics. It has nothing to do with the politics. It's everything to do with his inability to have a good match. Yeah, I said it. He's not a very good wrestler. You have to understand. With Tyrus, at least Tyrus can cut a good promo. In fact, I'd say Tyrus has an excellent promo. But you got to have more than just a promo. You got to be able to when you're selling a match. When you're trying to get us invested in your wrestling, you need to have the ability to tell a story in the ring as well. And I feel like at this point in his career, Tyrus can't have a match that is good. He just can't. His knees are shot. When he won the title, he had one of the best matches he's had in the NWA against Trevor Murdoch at the 74th anniversary show. By far, way better than anyone had anticipated. It was a much better match than I think any of us could have believed. Then they ran it back at Hard Times, but they did a triple threat match with Cardona, Murdoch, and Tyrus. And adding Cardona to the match did not make it any better. In fact, the match was worse. And then Tyrus didn't defend the title until some TV taping where he wrestled Rolando, and I think he wrestled like Cardona. Throwaway matches. They were terrible. He didn't, and then he defended in Mexico City against Daga. Again, not a very good match. I can't blame him for that, but it wasn't a very good match. And then defended against Adonis. A lot of people said that was a good match. I don't know. I don't see it. It's hard to be a good match when Adonis doesn't go over. If I was booking the NWA, Adonis would have won the title of 3-1, and this would have been Adonis versus EC3 for the world title. But obviously, I don't. So it is what it is. This is what we're at. This is where we're at. Just the deal. If Tyrus retains, we have no one to blame but Bill. Blame the shit out of Bill. Yeah. Mike says Tyrus Williams next. When you said Williams, I think you meant EC3. I'm hoping what you meant. Willie says Tyrus is better off at a picnic competing for pie and hot dog contests. Yeah. And Doty says if they don't tape for USA, they better use the USA time slot for a special show. Either tape from the special show like Worlds of Vampire or Boca Raton or Legends Interview. I agree, Doty. I don't see the thing is no, don't you wish that evil on us, Ricky Bobby. Don't you dare wish that evil on us, Ricky Bobby. I can't handle Lord Tyrus as the champion. I can't. You know how hard it is to come up here each and every week and pretend like everything's okay, knowing full well that Tyrus holds 12 pounds of gold? What's up, Lamb? Welcome to the party, pal. Lamb is my guy. Lamb is the best. If you guys should check out our Discord server, Lamb was telling some pretty fun the other day, putting up some memes and being just overall funny. Our Discord server is linked in the video. on YouTube. For those of you who are watching on TikTok, you can always go to the YouTube video and check. And then Steve G mentions hopefully we'll get some deals joining up in the NWA. Well, it's kind of funny because the last 2 days on the Alliance Blog podcast that you can listen to at any of your favorite podcast networks, we've been talking about women's wrestling a little bit more than normal. And Lamb, you sly dog Lamb. We've been talking about women's wrestling a little bit more than usual. Of course, the big news is they are coming in with some women wrestlers that are coming to the NWA. Of course, this is the match that we're getting main event night one. It's sorry for the fuzzy photo, but it's Camille versus Natalia Markova. But they'll also be having a Burke Invitational, and we know that 3 women have already been announced for that, and they're not quite. I wouldn't call them regulars for the NWA because we haven't seen them in a while. But we're going to have Allison Kay, Sierra, who we were introduced to in at the 312 paper, and then Wode. And I'm not sure, I don't remember where we got Wode from, but Wode should be a part of that too. So that's 3 new additions to essentially at least the roster for now. And we'll see what's going on with that. I'm not entirely sure, but I'm excited to see who else can surprise us. A lot of us have been saying Tootie Lynn, the Blue Eyed Dragon, because she's been in the last 2 NWA anniversary shows, but who knows who will show up. We know that Easton Cape and Maddie should be defending the women tag team titles. It seems like they might know who their opponents will be after tonight. We know that Kenzie Page should be having a title defense at either night 1 or night 2. So do have that. And then, of course, Ruthie J has been a regular on the roster. We also, as I'm thinking out loud here, I know that some of the talents that were announced for the World is a Vampire show, they have Max the Impaler will be on those cards. Kenzie, Kylie, and Ruthie J will be on those cards along with Camille. So, like I said, Ruthie J is seemingly more part of the roster now. And then the Page sisters, Max the Impaler. So, we'll see more as we get closer. Hopefully, more of the talents that will be on that show. Dave Scooby said, Wode has wrestled for Mission Pro in the past. I guess maybe. There's a problem with my audio. Is it still happening? Oh, no. That's not good. Let me see. Is that any better? I guess we'll find out. Billy's watching, and that's why the audio is lagging a bit. Well, let me know if the audio is still bad. I don't know. But yeah, I think we'll see some more women coming by way of, the Burke, the Invitational. We'll see who sticks around afterwards. Of course, there are TV tapings the next 2 nights after the pay-per-view in Nashville. Okay, I just moved some stuff over. Maybe it was something on here. I don't know. Lamb says he's surprised that the NWA doesn't invite Lainey Luck to their roster. She's as good as Heather Monroe and Ray Lynn. Heather Monroe and Ray Lynn recently competed on an episode of Power to take on M95. I don't think you're going to see Ray Lynn because she's very much a part of Women of Wrestling, and I don't know what their contracts allow or don't allow for them to be on the NWA. Steve G recommended Heather Reckless. Willie Bowen says there's a whole bunch of good women wrestlers in in Mission Pro. He said Mission Pro. Okay. But that's just kind of what it is. Heebs has a pro tip for you guys who are watching on Saturdays. You're missing out on NWA USA. Memphis Wrestling posts their show Saturday, 1 p.m. Eastern time, and it's the same studio-style wrestling, and it's been filling his void. So if you want to get your void filled the same way Heebs does, check out Memphis Pro Wrestling. Whenever they were in the PBS Sesame Street studio, whether that was Tampa or Wildcat. No, that was Tampa for sure. The Woad wrestled undercard stuff, and then she was backstage for the most recent Highland Park tapings. Retro is still pulling for Tessa. The more I think about it, the more it makes sense for her not to come to the NWA. Boom, swerve. I think Tessa Blanchard should go to MLW. Yeah, I said it. What is she going to do in the NWA? Lose to Camille? I don't think Camille's ready to let go of the Burke. What are you going to do with Tessa Blanchard? You send Tessa Blanchard to MLW, guess what? All of a sudden, she's the MLW featherweight women's champion. I'm just saying. More talk in the chat. Willie Bone wants to see Viperous and Rekka Tahaka, Ruby Reyes, Savannah Evans should be on the NWA roster. Well, I'll tell you this, Willie. Viperous, I think, is working for another all-female wrestling promotion based out of Las Vegas, but I think they tape some shows in Los Angeles. It's not Women of Wrestling. It has something to do with SWE Fury, the people that used to produce that show. I don't think she'll be in the NWA. Rekka Tahaka, Ruby Reyes, both are working with Women of Wrestling, so I don't think you're going to see them either. And then Savannah Evans, I think she's available. Somebody asked me who, I don't remember who asked, but said who was Ray Lynn, and wow, she is Chantilly Chantilly Che. Now I forgot. I'll have to look it up. You guys are making me look up the WoW website while I'm doing a podcast. No, that's a World of Warcraft. That's not the right thing. So yeah, Women of Wrestling. Chantilly Cella, that's her name. Chantilly Cella. There you go. All right, more comments. If you tune in to Memphis this weekend, you're going to see Chris Adonis. So, stay tuned. And then K. Rule versus Lance Archer on Memphis. Tested to MLW. I mean, that's just a thought, right? I don't know, Lamb. I think it's a good idea. If my battery dies, I'm screwed. Where's my nearest battery at? What will Tessa do for when she's no? Damn it, Mike. Paladin says he loves Tessa Blanchard. She's great, man. In ring wise, I don't think you're gonna find very many talents better than Tessa. Outside of the ring, I know she's had issues in the past, but we've already discussed that. In fact, I was talking about that at length earlier. Oh, knee on the table. Willie says Jordan Gray should be in the NWA. Maybe. I'm not going to read that either. Savannah Evans is in Impact Wrestling. Okay, I didn't know that. So there you go. Steve G says Viperous, I believe, is an FSW, same places as Zoe Starks, held the belt as Lacey Ryan. Yeah, and Steve G, to further that, Zoe Starks was also competing in United Wrestling Network as well. When it comes to Laney Luck, she may have leaned way into the cancel culture in 2020 on the Bird app, that she doesn't want to be booked by certain people, or people don't want to deal with her making drama. Yeah. Paladin, I'm not going to post it on the screen, but which wrestler are you talking about? Anyways, one of the things I like to do on this show is talk about where you can see some of the NWA talents outside of the NWA. And coming up this week in Coalfield, Tennessee, if you're in the area, Wide World of Wrestling, a.k.a. the Joe Kazana Promotions, you could see Roxy, you can see Kylie Ray, you could see, who else is on the list? Gustavo, Silas Mason, AJ Kazana, and others who have previously appeared in the NWA, like the Heat Seekers or Freya the Slaya, or even Toby Farley. All of them will be at the Heartbeat show for Wide World of Wrestling, the Joe Kazana Promotions. Check that out. Tickets are $15, right? General admission is $10. Kids 12 K through 12 are $5. 4 and under for free. So you can take all the little ones too. That's pretty cool. And then also coming to us on Saturday this week, the Journey Home. Now, this is the Exodus Pro Wrestling. This is the promotion that that EC3 is putting together. And I've heard a little bit more about it. It's almost going to be like a not just a training facility, but also like a place for people to perfect the craft, but also like reinvent themselves. So some of the names that you know currently might have a different look, might have a different feel when they get to the Exodus Pro, the Journey Home. And of course, the first match is, we know that Mims is going to be taking on Day. I don't really know much about Day, but there you go. Then also Tom Latimer will be defending his television championship at the Journey Home. And the preface is kind of like it's almost like a, what is it called? Like an audit, like a, what do they call it? Like a, what is it called? Like a coaching aspect. I can't remember what it's called. Where they try, it's like a tryout, I guess. And so we'll see what happens with that. Who will be facing Mr. Latimer there for the TV title. And then, of course, the main event is J-Rock taking on EC3. This should be an interesting match. I think you guys should check it out if you're in the Ohio area. It's in Cleveland, Ohio. I don't have ticket prices for you, but I do believe that this will be another place where you'll see some NWA stars on the regular competing. So that's something to look forward to. Of course, you got the TV tapings coming up on August 28th and 29th, as well as the 75th anniversary pay-per-view, which will be on the 26th and 27th. So there's a lot of good stuff going on. Let me get to some of your comments, and then we'll start talking about this week's Power. I love you, Lamb. You're so cool. We have new Alliance shirts. You'll see this if you watch the Wow Wrestling. You'll see me in the front row wearing this bad boy. You can get yours too. They're on the website. Merch link is in the bio, the video description. Check it out. Sam, I appreciate you, brother. The battery was dying and I couldn't find one, but I got one now. Steve G says, yes, that's where I know Ryan from United Wrestling Network. Remember the best of 7 with Monroe. Exactly. Heeb says, because Laney Luck is talented, but her bookings have gone down a ton over the last couple of years. I follow the Chicago scene. Willie Bond says, love Freya the Slayer. She was great. I'm surprised she didn't spend more time with the NWA. I know that she had the tryout match, the Circle Squared with, what was her name? Danny Jordan, the mean girl. And I felt like both of them would have been a great addition to the roster. The thing that Freya the Slayer has that most women don't have is size. She's huge. And I don't mean that in a negative way. She's tall. She's much taller than Camille. And it would have been interesting to see her and potentially like a Genocide or Camille or any one of the talents that had been in the NWA in the last few years. But since then, she's been plying her trade in Ohio Valley. So again, if you're into that, Kazana Promotions, I think they post their matches on YouTube. I know Poyo is always sharing their content on her Twitch, so you might want to check that out. Mike says that promotion you just showed, Jay, is also affiliated with the School by Me, in which Crazy Steve is a head coach. So they got like a talent share between Kazanas and Knoxville on the Place by Me. It's pretty cool. Well, then, Mike, you should hit it up. Take some photos, talk to people in your Alliance blog t-shirt and get our name out there. Can't wait to see Vangant become NWA World TV Champion. I'm only good with that if that means that Tom Latimer wins the NWA World's Heavyweight title. Otherwise, I don't really want to see it become vacant. Paladin says, what do you think about Steamboat working with AEW? Steamboat's a legend, man. And he should be working in AEW. I think it's a crime when wrestling companies forget about the legends. And, like a guy like Ric Flair, what more can you get out of him? I feel like he literally is that grape that's been squeezed. They got the wine. They got everything they can out of Ric Flair. I don't know much more how much more value he has. Rick Steamboat was like the ultimate baby face. And he's been pretty guarded. Like, you don't know a whole lot about Rick Steamboat. I think Steamboat would be a perfect guy to work with AEW. And thinking back to, and this is probably like 20 years ago. But when he showed up in Ring of Honor and did some arm drags on CM Punk, like, it was a pretty big deal. I still think Steamboat carries a lot of value and would be an excellent addition to any roster. Devin says, J-Cal, Kenzie Page is going to beat Camille. I don't want to see Kenzie Page beat Camille yet. Maybe down the road, but not yet. How come Tim Renestro looked like a trailer park tweaker in 2014? I think you know the answer to that, Heebs. Steve G says Danny Jordan hopefully comes back again soon. I enjoyed her. I don't really know, man. I don't know. I know that she's been doing some of the shows with Zicky Dice. I don't think she's injured. I think she's available to wrestle. I just don't think she does. Sam Retro says JCP has been filling my void for USA. So we've just given you several options now. I don't want to hear any more complaining about a lack of wrestling. Look, if you're me, you're watching United Wrestling Network. There's 3 different programs now. I mean, I guess technically Hollywood's on hiatus, but you've got Derby City, you've got Memphis, you've got Hollywood. To a lesser extent, now you got Jim Crockett Promotions. I think even our Plunkett is putting out more matches over on Saw, or maybe not him specifically, but the company is still producing content. You could check them out too. Billy like Big Body, even for the women's. Look at Camille and Max and Taya and Kylan. So maybe he better adding Freya. Yeah, I mean, it's possible. I would for the sheer fact that she looks different. You know, Andre the Giant was a draw, not because he was the world's greatest wrestler, but because he had aspects that aren't often seen in wrestling. Big ass dude. Steamboat for the win. This was supposed to be a Funko of me when we went to the Funko store. I mean, it's close, but this one is a little bit less like me. I should just go buy a Kevin Owens Funko and call it a day. I did that with Kerry Morton. I just kept forgetting to put up the damn pics. Yeah, well, Mike, be better. Flair is the president, brother. Flair is not the president. Dumb question. Would you book Steamboat in any kind of title match for the NWA? Just a thought. But I'm not liked too much by some in my area because telling people to go, all right, that's fair enough. I want his expensive signature too. Yeah. I hope Natalia beat best Camille. Yeah, that's not a bad choice either. Willie's a fan of Markova. Yeah, Genocide did leave. I used her as a reference because she was around for a while. Yeah, but she left the NWA. I also feel like maybe perhaps I think she's the Mission Pro World Champion at the moment. Derby City is on hiatus like last month, but they started filming again. They had a big show just this weekend. I know that a lot of the United Wrestling Network champions were present, including the TMZ, the Wolf Zaddies. Who else was there? I think, I know Danny Limelight was there. I know Kevin Martinson was there, and they were all, I believe, defending their titles. Jay, your Funko figure looks like that guy, Billy Mays, the hype man for... You don't think I haven't been called that before either? So, geez, we're supposed to talk about tonight's show. You guys let me get all over the place. Tonight is the debut of Vampiro on NWA Power, because remember, the NWA in Mexico... when he wrestled with Blue Demon against La Rebellion was on USA. So this is his actual in-ring debut for Power. Of course, M95 will be in action. La Rebellion will be in action, but no titles will be on the line. I don't know the match order. These are just what J. Cal thinks will be the match orders. And we have the Savages, as Jeremy would say from the other lines, guys. They'll be taking on Magnum Muscle. I feel like I've seen this match 100 times already. A couple of weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, we had Mims get injured in a match against Blake Bulletproof Troop. Dak Draper was ultra concerned about. so far, neither one of these teams has a match announced for the 75th anniversary show. And I know that there's a lot of hinting about Tim Storm and Jack staying one more time at the 75th, but I don't know if we're going to see that just yet. Let's see. That's right. We are your number one source for news and info about the United Wrestling Network. All right. KO Part 2. That's right. You guys get it. All right. And then let me get back to the show here. I'll get to you more of your comments in a minute. I want to get through this real quick. Then we also have Zion taking on Odinson. Now, remember, this isn't Sion. This is Zion. I don't know if his lore is the same as Zion's. I don't know if Zion is supposed to be related to Austin Idol. I don't know if that's even in play anymore. I don't know what the whole story is with this guy, but I know in Robert Anthony's podcast, he said that he hated being Zion. So we'll talk more about that on Thursday, I'm sure of it. Anthony Andrews and Cody James with CJ. I know for a fact that that's a cowboy versus James' big meaty men slapping meat. Heebs likes the meat slapping. Anyways, this should be a fun match again. I don't know if this is setting up anything for the 75th anniversary show, but maybe we get Magic Jake and Cody taking on Anthony Andrews and AJ Kazana for that 75th. This one does absolutely have implications for the 75th anniversary show. Misa Kate with Maddie in her corner will take on Ella Envy with Roxy in her corner. This will be your last chance match. And what I believe this is if Ella Envy defeats Misa Kate, they have an opportunity to wrestle for the women tag team titles at the 75th anniversary show. However, if Misa Kate does the unthinkable and defeats Ella Envy, I think Pretty Empowered is out for a shot at those tag titles, which is kind of scary because then what are you going to do with Misa Kate and Ella Envy? Are you going to take on Samantha Starr and Ruthie J? You going to make some more makeshift tag teams? Natalia Markova's busy, fellas. So I don't know what they're going to do with that. I guess the rumor is that CJ is going to be a part of the Burke Invitational. Dodie, I'm sorry I'm the one that break the news to you, but Robert Anthony did it on a podcast. He laid it all out there. I'm not breaking news here. He did. He broke the fabe. Heebs, that should be Heebs, why don't we make that a shirt? That could be Heebs, let's talk later. I think that's the next Alliance Blog shirt. The timeline has changed Zion to Zion. Yeah, maybe, right? Oh no, who went back in time this time? Damn it, Captain America. All right, let's see. You guys are talking about silly stuff. And then, of course, the main event tonight. This has to be the main event, right? Vampiro with La Rebellion taking on Mario Parduva and the Brothers of Instruction. I don't get why Mario Parduva is introduced here, but hey, we get Vampiro. I will say this. 3 of these guys look pretty badass with face paint, and 2 of these guys look like a bunch of clowns. I'll let you decide who's who. But, look, progression of storyline, that's what I'm all about as we march to the 70th anniversary show. I think after tonight, we'll know what's going to happen with the women's tag team titles. I think we might have an indication of what we're going to get for the U.S. tag titles, what's in store for Dak Draper Mims, what's in store for the Suges. So there's a lot of things going on, and I think this will be a fun night. Lamb. Someone needs to take the pinfall. Oh, man. Damn, Lamb. That's cold-blooded. Paladin, that's the most controversial thing you've said in this chat, and you've said a lot of controversial things. You never cared for CJ as a wrestler? Wow. What's up, Sugar Bear? Let's see. ICP 2.0. Yeah, I guess. Jeremy says, the wife and I are binging The Flash and just got through the excess storyline. Okay. The Flash. Did you see the movie, though? The movie was fun. I mean, if you're like Michael Keaton, the movie was fun. So, I mean, as we march now ever so closely to the 75th anniversary show, of course, I'm excited. I'm going to be in St. Louis. I hope you will be in St. Louis with us. Alex Riley. Now, that's a name I haven't heard from in a while. Remember when Alex Riley showed up at a pay-per-view randomly to get his butt kicked by EC3 and then never really kind of show up again? Huh. Wait, Mike, what are you trying to say? Oh, you're saying Alex Riley is Zion? I mean, Interesting. Didn't Alex Riley get injured? I know that he like face planted, but I didn't know he got injured. That was nasty. It was. Heap says, I need to make a Petri Farm Remembers meme. There you go. Better forget it. The NWA is okay with or without Alex Riley. Dodie, you're so blunt, and I love it, man. Absolutely. Bringing Fargo to 75. Dave Scooby, no offense, but I don't know what that means. Don't you know? Like, are we going to quote the movie? Alex Riley fell harder than Tony Khan into his. Oh my God. Oh, Mike, I got to quit going to you, bro. A-Rai had serious eye issues. Had a serious eye surgery shortly after the pay-per-view. Okay, I didn't know that. I didn't know about that. Well, then all the best. I hope he heals up. Fago. There we go. Fago. I've never had Fago. Maybe I should find some while I'm there. You know what? Why isn't Fago sponsoring this pay-per-view? ICP can't do that? They can't make that happen? Is this pay-per-view going to be sponsored by Busch Beer? Busch. I know they did that for the 73rd. I don't know if they did it for the 74th, but like I want to get some cheap Busch Beer. Dave Scooby happens to me all the time. Sam, I think there is Fago. I just don't think I've ever had it. I want to say, yeah, probably, but I don't think I've ever had it. So I don't know. I've seen it before, but I've also traveled quite a bit. Look, man, I love traveling. I was just thinking earlier today, like we were talking on TikTok. I've been to China for wrestling. I've been to Yuma, Arizona for the NWA. I went to Nashville, Tennessee twice for the NWA. I went to Charlotte for the NWA. I've been to Atlanta twice, one for the NWA, one for the United Wrestling Network. I've been to Arizona a second time for the Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. I've obviously been all over the LA market area. I've been to Las Vegas for the NWA when they were doing shows at the Orleans Arena. I've been to Vegas. Literally, it was 5 years ago today that Adam Rotella and I met up to go watch the Ring Warriors. So, yeah, I've been around. And this will be, and I was in Glassboro, New Jersey. I was in Chamlet, Louisiana. And in 2 weeks, I'll be in St. Louis, Missouri for pro wrestling. I'll go back to Nashville for some more NWA wrestling. I've been around, guys, and I may have just never had Fago. Or cola, orange, and black cherry. Shouldn't have posted that. It's good. Mandy. Oh, I opened up a can of worms. The last time I saw him, he was on the I can't remember what platform it was, but it was an alt-right version of YouTube. I can't remember what it's called now, but he was doing political videos over there. So, thanks, Paladin. What gave away is the crow's feet under my eyes? Is it the wrinkles? Well traveled. Thank you, sir. Fago is hooked up with Ohana soda. Well, I'd try it. Sugar Bear says that the dollar store by him is selling it, and it was great. Fago, Moon Mist, and Cotton Candy, and then Rumble. No, I didn't make it to the beard. The beard needs trimming. I got to get that trimmed before I go to St. Louis. I actually had my mask on today, and I was wearing my lucha mask earlier on TikTok, and it kind of jacked up the mask, the beard. Well, hey, it is 3:01 here on the West Coast, which means it's 6:01 on the East Coast. That means it's time for you to end this video and go check out NWA POWERRR, youtube.com/NWA. Make sure you tune in tomorrow, guys, on the Alliance blog channel on YouTube to check out our friends, the other Alliance guys, is they're going to talk MLW. They're going to talk United Wrestling Network and do some fantasy booking. And of course, on Thursdays, we'll be back to recap Power and talk some more NWA wrestling as we storm to the 75th. That'll be the Alliance Guys podcast Thursdays, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 o'clock Pacific, and we'll be there. And I'll be doing that remotely, hopefully. So anyways, guys, thanks for tuning in. Also, check out the merch link. We have new shirts up, and we'll be adding some more new merch very, very soon. And of course, the podcast, if you listen to, if you're listening to Spotify, iTunes, whatever, and you want to add us to your collection, we're having a little bit more unique content over there. It's just not the same old stuff. Smaller episodes, more episodes. Check us out on all your favorite podcasting platforms at the Alliance blog. But until next time, guys, we'll see you. Thanks for checking out the Pre-Party, a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com. You should hit that subscribe button and join our community. I also want to remind you that we recap NWA Power every Thursday at 8 p.m. in the live stream. We try to stay social, so find us at the Alliance blog. And until next time, we are the Alliance.